There it is, the sound of London summer, or Hackney bird song as this one article put it. A sound that anyone living in London at the moment will be very familiar with. It's apparently the sound that Lime bikes make when they've been stolen. I think it's quite sweet that Lime thought that fitting an alarm to their stolen bikes would make Londoners care. This is London and no one cares about a stolen bike. So really it's just another annoying sound that has been added to the soundtrack of the city. For those of you who don't know, Lime is a bike rental service. They're in 230 cities globally, and since they launched in London in 2019, there are now 30,000 bikes across the city which have been used for 12 million journeys. They've quickly become iconic London core. There are Lime bike spawn points on almost every street corner, and most festivals and events have these big Lime bike farms to help people get home afterwards, and that takes pressure off the public transport network as well. Harry Styles has become like a poster child for them. He's constantly spotted riding around the city. They iconically appeared in the background of Charlie XCX's wedding this summer, and Timothée Chalamet turned up to some red carpet event on one. They're a really fast and easy way of getting around the city, especially to places that aren't near a tube. There's been a few places that I've travelled to recently where you put your destination into Citymapper and it's like a 40-minute journey by public transport or a 20-minute journey by Lime bike. And they're also just great fun. There's few greater joys than riding around the city on one. And Lime bikes have made cycling far more accessible for Londoners. While London has some decent cycling infrastructure, for the most part you are still sharing with cars and other motor vehicles. And on a normal bike that could be quite daunting for a lot of new cyclists, but with Lime, because it's powered by electricity, you tend to be able to keep up with the traffic, and that can just make it a lot more enjoyable and a much safer experience for new riders. And I see them as a bit of a gateway drug to cycling. In fact, 3/4 of people who use Lime bikes for the first time report going on to being more regular cyclists afterwards. And that's created 250,000 additional cyclists across London since 2019. Interestingly, 73% of women who started using Lime reported becoming more regular cyclists after using Lime bikes for the first time, compared to 52% of men. And I know from my own experience of my wife and talking to my friends who are women that they find, this isn't really working here, I'm boiling. And I know from my own experience of talking to my wife and my friends that are women that they feel a lot safer travelling around London. Not only is it door to door, you can drop your bike off right outside your apartment building and that increases safety, but you're also much less likely to get attacked if you're on a bike than you are if you're walking. They expand the catchment of rail and tube stations, allowing more people to live near a station and expanding the connectivity and accessibility of the tube network. 34% of Lime bike users report using Lime bikes in conjunction with another mode of transport. So instead of having a half-hour walk to your nearest station, that becomes a 10-minute journey by Lime bike. They therefore reduce reliance on cars and help alleviate congestion on London's road network. And Lime estimate that 2.6 million vehicle kilometres have been saved on London's roads since they launched in 2019. That's equivalent to travelling from London to Paris 3,000 times. And overall, it's just introduced another layer of public transport that is more available than the tube or buses. Now that we've talked about the pros, let's focus on the cons. What makes Lime better than using, say, the Santander bikes is that they can be dropped off anywhere, rather than at like docking stations, which I tend to find aren't always conveniently located. But this can become a problem when people leave them blocking pavements or roads or cycle lanes, ironically. I saw this post on Reddit where someone had to move a Lime bike out of the way for a blind person to get past. So while they're great for accessibility, that's wasted if they reduce accessibility for others. It's problems like this that compelled one West London council to ban them from the borough entirely. There was a report in the Times that recorded 84 Lime bike users skipping through a set of red lights in just 1 hour. That's kind of a problem with cyclists generally though, not just Lime bike users. I cycle to work every day and without fail I'll see it happen more than once. Some positive changes are being made though. They've introduced new parking guidelines and the app doesn't let you park your bike in places that will cause a nuisance to others. This year, TfL introduced 8,000 new parking bays for them across the city, which should help with keeping them off the pavements. If they are going to reduce the bikes to being parked up in these parking bays though, I kind of think we need more of them. I live in a pretty dense part of the city and my nearest parking bay is like a 5-minute walk, which kind of reduces that door-to-door safety aspect that I was talking about earlier. And we might finally be about to get rid of that annoying Hackney birdsong alarm sound. They responded to disgruntled residents by announcing that they're retrofitting the bikes to get rid of the alarm sound, which seems like a much more efficient and less annoying way of preventing the bikes from being stolen. Some people want them to be banned entirely, but I think that's highly unlikely. They've already become an integral part of London's transport network, and if they can iron out some or all of these negatives, then I think they're very much here to stay.